I'd now like to invite our next guest, Speedy Supply Chain and Innovation Director, Andy Connor. Now, with over 40 years in hire, Andy has seen the industry evolve significantly. He has played a key role in accelerating innovation in the tools, plant and equipment now available on the market, helping customers to drive down the environmental impact of construction on site and drive up the safety of colleagues across the industry through innovations such as reducing the effects of hand-arm vibration. With his finger firmly on the pulse of the direction that the industry is going in, Andy will be talking to us through his presentation on the urgency and rapid innovation needed to decarbonise construction. This session is sponsored by one of our valued supply chain partners, Hilti. Andy, it's over to you.
Hi and welcome to today's live event. I'd like to thank you on behalf of our the supply chain team, to all our suppliers, all our customers for attending or logging into today's event. And a big thank you to Sam for the great introduction. I found out a few hours ago when I first met Sam that we are both from the same city, actually both from the same area of the city within Liverpool. And in fact, she actually visits the same Domino's Pizza restaurant that I visit. So I obviously visit more times than not Sam does, but that's for another day. Also, a big thank you to Hilti, one of our strategic partners, for sponsoring my session. I will talk a little bit more about a case study with Hilti that we're currently ongoing within Speedy. So, decarbonising hire. You've heard from Amelia regarding our emissions. 92% of our emissions sit within Scope 3. You've heard what we need to do and what we're doing as a business. You've also, I'm sure you understand, and you've heard why we need to do it. My job is the how we're going to do it, which is not easy. If we started a hire company today with all new technology, we'd have two issues. First of all, there's not enough technology that exists to decarbonise, that reliance on fossil fuel. And secondly, the market just does not have an appetite to pay for it, this new technology. And it costs more than what traditional technology does cost. Also, for the last, I've been in the industry a long time, since 1982. I've seen for over many years changes to do with different aspects, to do with health and safety, working at height, hand-arm vibration. But the level of change that's required to do this is immense. We are at the start of a new industrial revolution. Products that have existed for a long time are being ripped up, the blueprints are being ripped up, and we literally are starting again. But what I'm going to do is give you an insight into what I'm going to take you behind the scenes and show you what we're doing. And some people will question why I'm giving you this level of detail, because I want people, I want our suppliers, I want our customers, and I actually want our competitors to believe and do it, because if we don't all do it, it doesn't work. So I'm showing you what we're doing, and I'll give you that information. We're here to help. You've heard Amelia and Matthew from the previous presentation say we are here to help. And we've got some knowledge. There is no rule book to do this. No one give me a manual. It's just experience and passion to do it. And most of what I will show you makes common sense. Okay, so back in when Amelia joined the business during COVID, we did at that time, after we set out our roadmap to actually achieve 70% reduction, or 70% of our fleet being of eco design, etc. I'll come on to more about the different technologies, but the first challenge that I had, was seeing where we actually were. We didn't have a clue what percentage of our fleet was eco by design or was non-eco. And when you're talking over 350,000 itemised assets and then a few million non-itemised, that is a massive challenge. So back in 2021, we'd done that exercise. We literally went through the database, and then we looked at, what was of eco design compared to what's not. And we got to the figures of around about 25%. At the end of that year, we'd already started to move towards the newer technologies. And as Amelia has already alluded to, we got to 30%. Our roadmap what we set out for 2022 is a 5-year roadmap, and the challenge is every year we want to grow that eco influence by 10%. So by 2027 we want it to be 70%. Currently at the end of our financial year that we just ended 6 months ago, sorry, we would have 44%. The challenge is to get to 50% by the end of this year, and then obviously 60% beyond that. I will show you how we believe we're going to do that later on in the slides. The different technologies that we would use to reduce and remove fossil fuels on site are on the screen in front of you. Solar. Solar is a great product. You know, you're harvesting the energy of the sun. It's free. Why not use it? But it does have its limitations in terms of the range of product, and also because of the climate that we live in the UK. But that's not to say we shouldn't be doing it. If you're going to use solar, you need somewhere to put that energy. So then you would use batteries, from the smallest tool up to the biggest generator. Store the energy and reuse it. As I say, it's free, and it's the right thing to do. We are looking at, and I'm not going to demonise the industrial engine, the internal combustion engine, because it's not its fault that it runs on a fossil fuel, and we shouldn't just forget about it. It's been in existence for many, many, many years. It's still a fantastic product, and we can do things regarding the fuel efficiencies to actually remove the reliance on fossil fuel. And then we've got hydrogen, and I'll talk more about that in the later slides, as well as circularity. Okay, so now we're going into the detail, and I make no apologies for actually looking at some of these products. I have been brand specific because these companies have innovated in these fields to actually remove our reliance on fossil fuels. So cordless, you can see from the figures on the screen that nearly 45,000 of our assets are already of cordless design. And again, I'll go into more detail in the next slides. That's across 562 different types of products. So drills, breakers, saws, etc. So cordless is here and now. Cordless has been around for a long time. It's great. It's easy to implement within our fleet because of the size of product. And so, yeah, why not do it? And that development on cordless is becoming more and more. If we look at solar, yes, as I say, it's got its limitations, but around solar generators, solar lighting towers, as Amelia said, we have invested heavily this year into solar lighting towers. They do work perpetually. They should work all year round, given the LED light output, but you might get to a stage in the middle of December or January where you need to give it a bit of a support with a generator. But once you've charged them batteries back up, away you go for the next 6 to 12 months. And then hydrogen, and again, I'll talk a bit more about hydrogen on a later slide. But for Speedy, hydrogen is new. We've only got 140 products, but 6 months ago we never had none. So it is our first step into the world of hydrogen. Okay, so going back to cordless tools, you can see from this graph that cordless back in 2005, when the first lithium tools come onto the market, we were around about 3 amp hour, 18 volt 3 amp hours, which were limited to small handheld power tools. And that's what, and as I say, in 1982, one of the first tools I picked up was a cordless screwdriver, 7.2 volt, made by Makita. So they've been around a long time. They only became lithium powered in around about 2005. So it took all that time to get to the first phase of lithium. And then the acceleration since 2005 has been immense. So by 2008 and 9, the amps in the battery started to get stronger because the development was getting better. We then move into a different phase of product, chainsaws, brush cutters, etc., and pipe press tools. And then the first phase of small portable lighting. Then we move into the phase around about 2018-19, just before COVID. We were up to 9 amp hour batteries, so we're really going for it. We're really getting into the tools that were on the border of being run on petrol, and actually 110 volt. And I've, on my roadmap, on our roadmap, the detailed roadmap, I've said by 2027 there will be no more 110 volt. I actually correct that. It's by 2025, 110 volt will not be required, because even if you do have a tool that still relies on 110 volt, it will be plugged into a battery pack. So you will not need transformers and extension leads. But the next phase of cordless, so these are the tools, these are the tools that traditionally are powered by big motors or big engines, you know, the Honda petrol engines, or the diesel engines. This is in the 5 to 8 horsepower category of product. Now we're getting into the stuff on site, light plant as I would call it, that really will take petrol and diesel away. And Matt, you mentioned it on the last presentation that please, we don't need that reliance on petrol and diesel, because the next phase is here. There's already compaction equipment, there's already bigger breakers, etc., saws, power floats that are coming onto the market that are going to do all these roles. We internally, whenever we look at eco by design, we give a definition. So I think one of the questions was, how do we define eco? This is the definition for cordless. We have it for hydrogen, we have it for energy efficiency, engine emissions. We give you the definition, and then we go within the data and we actually look at where we're at. So we know, and I know, that 16% of our itemised fleet, over 300,000 assets, are already cordless. And 10% of that volume sits within the category of tools. Tools is anything from a small drill right the way up to a plate compactor or a small lighting tower. You've got some examples on the screen of products that were traditionally powered by petrol and diesel. Saws, lighting towers, compactors and mixers, all now cordless. Now I want to use the cut-off saw as a great example. Being in the industry for many, many years, as a young engineer, the biggest product that broke down the most on site, and still does today, is the cut-off saw. And why is that, people may ask? It's because it's used in very, very harsh environments. You're cutting bricks and flags which create dust. The tool vibrates a lot. It's got a small 2-stroke engine, so you've got fuel mixture problems. So literally most of, as we stand here today, or I stand here in the virtual world that you're looking at, them tools are breaking down on site. The cordless version does not break down. You press a button and away you go. The only thing that can go wrong is the battery needs charging. It's the same performance in terms of power as a petrol. So why wouldn't you use it? It's a better, safer product. And all the things that we tried to solve over many, many, many years are now being solved by the introduction of cordless. I've got a lighting tower that replaces a small 6 kVA diesel powered lighting tower, and it all runs off a 72 volt battery. Why would you not want to do it? It can be deployed by one person very, very easily and simply. Within a minute, it's up and running. It's fantastic. The opportunities for cordless for future development, as I said, they are easy to implement within the existing range. And I've seen the development today that's going to be coming out in 2 years. And that's why I'm saying that diesel and petrol is effectively redundant. They're much safer, they're much easier to operate, they're easy to maintain, they cost less to maintain. And the development of life equipment to replace petrol and diesel is happening now. So you don't need that reliance on these small tools. And they're actually quick. It's going to help us achieve our elimination of reliance on fossil fuels, 2-stroke petrol and diesel, much, much quicker on the job site. So when you hear sites talking about the cordless site or the diesel-free site, cordless is here to help. What are the barriers? Infrastructure. So there's a lot of talk and a lot of noise around the charging facilities for batteries. And I'll come on to more of that in a later slide, but that is being established. We've developed the tools, we just need to develop the infrastructure. It's exactly the same for hydrogen. We've developed the technology, we haven't got the infrastructure, but it's building. So let it catch up and it will be there. Its ESG credentials around the use of lithium battery and cobalt. Most of cobalt comes from the Democratic Republic of Congo. There's a lot of modern slavery issues out there. If you stick with global manufacturers like we do, Hilti, Milwaukee, Makita, and many more, global manufacturers, they only deal with Samsung, Panasonic, LG, the credible battery manufacturers around the world. So they've got a sustainability policy around batteries. So please believe that sticking with the right tools, you're getting the right infrastructure. All the imports on e-bikes and the Chinese imports, etc., have caused an issue where batteries are unstable. And that's why people, you know, the question and the source of the materials, etc. And then the acquisition cost compared to traditional methods. So typically, cordless tool, the cordless tool, the bigger tools will typically cost 2 to 3 times more than the product they're replacing. And there's a question around that affects the hire rate and customers' engagement in terms of paying that rate. But we are doing things around how the tool is used, digitalisation of the tools, the tool basically telling us how it's being used, how it's being operated, the lifespan of the tools. Typically, a small tool will be depreciated over a 5-year lifespan. That lifespan can be extended if we know how long the tool is being used on site. So we know that a tool could be hired for a month, but it's only being used for 2 days. That's its true usable life, not a month. So digitally, the tools are going to tell us that. They're actually going to tell us how they're feeling, how people are operating them. And by that, it's going to tell us how we need to look after them. If we look after them better, because we know digitally, we can extend the life. If we can extend the life, we can actually affect the hire rate. So all that's coming into play, but that can only work if we collaborate with our customers, our suppliers, and our competitors, because you cannot compete to save the planet. We should all be doing this together. Okay, so hydrogen, it is our first step into hydrogen. 6 months ago, we didn't have one hydrogen products. The 2 products you see on the screen, Amelia's talked about the Nifty Lift boom lift. It's a battery-powered boom lift. The hydrogen 1 kilowatt fuel cell extends the range of the battery. So traditionally, you would have used a diesel engine, a hybrid system, to charge the batteries as they're running out of power. Now we've taken the engine away, we've put a fuel cell and a 400 gram cylinder on board. That will double the autonomy of the batteries. So if you're getting a week's worth of utilisation on the batteries, you'll extend it to 2 and so on and so forth. Cost compared to diesel is comparable. It is comparable. And then we've got our partnership, our JV with AFC Energy, which is brand new. It only got announced a few weeks ago. They make 30 to 60 kilowatt generators, fuel stacks, etc. It is new, and I'm sure during the Q&A questions, I can talk a bit more about that. I want to talk a little bit about circular design very, very quickly. As you can see on the screen, we don't just talk about the engine emissions in terms of carbon. We talk about those products that don't basically produce carbon, but they've got carbon. These are all products within our fleet that have got carbon, but in some cases they don't. Fence panels, plastic fence panels, steel roll plates, so we've got a replacement for them. You can see the sort of volumes in the product range that we have by quantity across the categories. We've converted our diesel heaters into HVO ready, so they can be used with HVO. Extension leads and transformers will remove the need for them because we're moving to more cordless, but the ones that we have, we are sending away to be recycled, repaired and reused where possible, so we can reduce some of the waste. And then the bottom section, stage 5 engines, it's a great product. Let's not just talk about the carbon emissions, let's talk about all the greenhouse gas emissions, because that does eliminate most of the greenhouse gas emissions. If you put carbon into an engine, it will come out the other end. If you put the other emissions into an engine, then a stage 5 engine will clean them up. I talked a little bit about fencing. It is a world first. We've eventually got a plastic fence panel. There's millions of head of fence panel being used in the UK today. We've now got a fence panel that can be fully recycled. It's more durable than the steel unit. It lasts a lot longer. It's easier to deploy, and it's much safer. You can see some of the key points on the screen regarding the product, and it's available now. But again, we've still got the existing fleet of steel fence panels. So what do we do about them? We are working with the manufacturer of the fence panel to try and prolong and extend the life of that product. So for me, how do we move to the next? How do we get from 44% towards 50 and 60%? We have a bridge, and we look at the volume of products within that bridge that we can affect that transition from where we are today to where we need to be over the next 1 year and 2 years. And these are the products, they're probably not really visible on the screen because of the fonts, but it's things like transformers, dehumidifiers, podiums. What can we do? What can I do to work with our suppliers to make these more eco-friendly so we can achieve our targets? And this is a question to the supply chain, because my challenge from Amelia and the board is, this is what you've got to do. I've got to get from 44 to 60% to achieve our targets. I've got to live this. Okay, so everything I've shown you is not unique. It's available to everyone. All them products I've shown you, our competitors, our suppliers, our customers, they're available. What I believe is unique, we're doing it. We're showing you what we're doing. We've got the numbers. I've give you data that probably no other company have give you. I'm more than happy to work with all our suppliers and customers, as I've said, and competitors to create a collaboration to do this, because it only works if we all do this together. But listen, thank you for listening for me today. I'm sure you've got some questions for me at the Q&A session, and I'll leave it there. So thanks very much.
Thank you very much for that, Andy. And I'll be sure to see you down the pizza place at the weekend. Mine is a mighty meaty with extra hot sauce. Cheers, mate.